back next week. So we're going through the summer. It's it's not a lot going on. So we scaled back on the podcast. We're gonna pick it back up during preseason, and then the news dropped. Right? So the NBA has been going crazy, soliciting me doing just a little 10, 15 minute type joint. Get on real quick, tell y'all what I think about a lot of the moves being made. Um, First things first, we have been major players in free agency. Um, I thought the Yang letting him walk initially, I was like, I don't know if I'm super happy with that one. And y'all gotta excuse me. It's a hot damn bitch in here. Um, we gonna get demonetized. It's hot as crazy in here. Um, yeah, no. Letting Yang walk first and foremost had me like, I'm not really sure if we should be losing his veteran presence. Let Terrace Man get up out of there. They're gonna show up as cap holds throughout the rest of the season. Um, Keaton Wallace, Jacob Toppin, both restricted free agents. Wallace, excuse me, might get brought back on a very. His deal is like he's $2 million restricted free agent. They might sign him for like 1.8 to 2.6 somewhere in there. Garrison Matthews is unrestricted. He might be into the bench guy. Larry Nance unrestricted. I really don't see him going back. Karras re-signed today. Clint uh, netted a second round pick for Clint. I just need y'all to think about that. They got a second for Clint going back to Houston. Auntie has been on one. First things first, I want to talk about the draft, right? I did not think Asa Newell would have been there at especially once we traded down into the 20s. That was a great steal, great pickup. Um, you trade for you trade for Porzingis, so you get some legit size, right? Also, he's gonna end up. I don't think you re-sign him. He might end up being just like a 1 year rental. He's not super old. He's 30, so I guess it does depend on like what happens this season. If you want to sign him to a long-term deal, Luke Kennard, you got some shooting on the team. Sniper, 11 million, which is great money. Um, but the big signing was Nikhil Alexander Walker. He is a legit six man, right? Defensively, he's got some stuff to him. Offensively, he's built up that corner three specifically to feed off playmaking guards. This is like this is exactly what Trey Young needs. Um, Taj and I were talking about the fact that like Trey Young is responsible for like 100% of offensive created shots, and then like 20% of those are converted. It is a ridiculous amount of shots that we leave like on the table for Trey, right? A good part of that was Jalen Johnson was out for a good bit of the year, right? Uh, Kobe Buffkin was out pretty much all year. I don't have an issue with Gay or Veet, but those guys should be 9 and 10 in the rotation, not 7 and 8. You know what I'm saying? 6, 7, and 8. Honestly, for good bits of the season, it's looking like we're gonna go Trey at the one, Dyson at the two, um, Risha Shea at the three, JJ at the four, and then Porzingis at the five. Small ball death lineup has JJ and Big O on the court, and then like our big lineup has Nikhil Alexander Walker switching out for Trey. Well, yeah, and Dyson moving up to the one. It is a ridiculously long and talented team. Um, my initial thoughts is that we should contend highly in the Eastern Conference, and I was all for going into the season with this team. Then the news broke that Dame got waived, and it's not a great feeling because he definitely laid it all out there on the line from a how I look at it from a team standpoint. It does make a lot of sense. He's not going to play for you. He's not going to play for you next year. Next year, depending on how next year goes, I think will say whether or not Giannis stays. Everybody's like, oh, you'll ask out this summer. I think Giannis's big ask out would be next summer, right? I think the East is wide open this year. The Pacers aren't going to be there. Who's been their foil the past 2 years? Before that, it was Miami, and they managed to cross that hurdle. But the Pacers have been their foil the past 2 years. Boston's not going to be there, who knocked them out the year before that, right? Boston knocked them out in the second round on their title defense year. Um, and then, yeah, those two teams are going to be out. Philly may come back. That really depends on Joel's health. Uh, but how I look at it, the East is kind of like wide open next year. So it makes sense for Giannis to make a push this year. And then if it doesn't work out, ask out next year. With that being the case, Dame's not going to play for you next year. So it makes more than enough sense to go ahead and buy him out. It's a huge buyout. 113 is crazy, right? And they signed Miles Turner. You got a stretch big next to him. That's exactly what Brook Lopez played. And, Miles is younger and a little bit more athletic, I guess. Not as tall, not as much as a rim protector, but definitely can shoot the three just as well. And he can protect the rim. But there's been talk of Giannis moving. And I can say I was an ardent defender of not trading young talent when KD came available and ended up going to the Suns. Not trading young talent when Jimmy became available. No, there was somebody before Jimmy. Between KD and Jimmy, there was somebody. But like not trading this young talent. I was a Cam Reddish believer, bro. I was a I was a DeAndre believer, bro. Like, no, I don't trade these dudes. Like, we're building a young core around trade. I'm not even ashamed to say it. I was Kevin Herter apologist, bro. Before we let go of him, AJ Griffin as well. Now, granted, he gave his life to Jesus, decided to follow that path. It's real hard to speak on him, but because like I'm a man of faith myself, so like I get that. When you called, you called. Ain't nothing you can do about that. You got to pick up the phone. Um, but like I've been a defender of not trading our young talent for perennial all stars. And to be honest, at this point in time, it's got you multiple AC finishes, playing games, and out the playoffs. I do think the swings in free agency are building this team to be a contender, but I'm not gonna say we shouldn't trade for Giannis. I'm not gonna say that we shouldn't put all our chips in the table, right, and go ahead and make the moves. Um, what it's gonna cost you. What's gonna cost you is gonna cost you a pretty penny, right? So if I'm the Bucks, if I'm the Hawks, I want to keep JJ or Reach, right? Like JJ's been paid, he's 24. Reach is 20, right? Um, I don't believe they asked for Dyson Daniels. Muhammad Gay would be like just like a to make a money match type thing. Kobe Buffkin has showed like real injury concerns, so like it doesn't make sense to like him to be a stickler in any deal you're getting done, right? Obviously, Trey's untouchable, so it's going to take some combination of Ricochet, JJ, JJ Big O, and then about three picks, uh, Gay, Buffkin, V, somebody at the bottom of the roster to make the money work after the fact, right? Because Giannis makes like 51 or 52. And so you got 30, 43. You need about four or five more. So like that's like Buffkin territory. Or you could do Gay and like you can get league approval because it's within 20% or something like that, between 15 and 20%. You made that happen. You made the money work that way, right? So that's what makes it difficult, right? Is because I would personally, I'll let you take JJ and Big O. You know what I'm saying? Love both of those guys. Definitely see them as long term starters and pieces of the future in Atlanta. I don't actually want to trade them, but I would let you take both of them and keep Reach and have Giannis at the four next to Porzingis, Reach at the three, Dyson Trey, and then we really work out. We got NAW at the we got Naw at the six man, and then we really got to work on like figuring out the rest of the roster behind, like Gay, maybe signing some long term vets. We'd have to do some shuffling, but you have a legit starting five. You got Kennard there, will probably be seventh man. That's working around that, right? Because as currently constructed, Kennard probably still your seventh man, maybe eighth. If this is a make or break season for Kobe, you know what I'm saying? But like maybe eighth man, but like he's probably your seventh man still. You know what I'm saying? So you're not really losing too much in bench depth. Those starters are going to play a good bit of minutes, but your oldest starter would be Giannis at 31, right? Yeah, your oldest starter would be Giannis at 31. Trey be 27, 28 during the season. Um, Porzingis be 30, 31 during the season. And then you got a 20-year-old and what's it called? 20-year-old and 22 or 23-year-old. Like you have a legit contending core. Like, and to be honest with you, I would keep Reach, but I wouldn't be surprised if they move Reach to the six man and move Walker into the starting role just for the experience capability of it, and then really letting Reach run the second team. Me personally, I don't ever want to see Reach out of the starting lineup. I saw way too much last year to let me believe that he like real life has star potential. With that being said, from the Bucks' point of view, I'm not leaving a trade for Giannis without your number one overall pick because you hope that your number one overall pick becomes a two-time MVP, a Finals MVP, multiple time All Star, a Defensive Player of the Year, multiple team all NBA, multiple all defensive teams. Like you pray that your number one overall pick becomes that player. That's what I'm giving you. So at minimum, I need the number one overall pick back, the 6'10" small forward. And I've shown that like give me an international like athlete, a little wiry and whatnot, I can turn him into a star. Like I put him on the same regiment. Reach has the height to slide down to the four. Could play the three, slide down to the four. Very similarly, like I wouldn't leave the trade without Ricochet. And if that cost me Jalen or O, that's fine. For me, from a Hawks point of view, I give Reach and Big O. If I gotta give up Reach, giving up Big O because I feel like Jalen can play with Giannis. Now, Trey spends a lot of time handling the ball. Giannis spends a lot of time handling the ball in half court situations, handling the ball. Where does that leave Jalen in the offense? I don't know, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if there was another team involved to help get assets for Jalen to clear the way for for um, for Giannis, which moves Nah to the three spot because like you've given up Reach, moves Nah to the three spot, and you're really letting three young guys go quickly out of the building. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm past the point of thinking that like the core of young players, every player is going to hit, every player is going to contend. This ain't 2K. You can't press triangle, go into settings, and bump up people's potential. Like at a certain point, players are who they are, right? Like I think Big O is a great player, right? Or at least a really good player. But like this is his fourth season. He's like reached his second contract. No, this is his fifth season. He's reached his second contract, and like last year was the back half of last year was the first time he was a legit starter for the season, right? Like most guys make their first All Star game before 20. If they're going to be an All Star, make it before they're 25. You know what I'm saying? And like it's Jalen Johnson. This his year. If he's not an All Star this year, there's a good probability he won't be one, right? And like people don't want to hear that because like you have a young core and whatnot, but like it's true, and it's kind of like throughout history. I mean, in the early 2000s, you got like a Michael Redd every now and then. You had like one off years, right? Like even in what 2015, you had Kyle Korver. Um, he had to be 30 something. He made it that year. And then Anati was under 25. But if you look at DeMarre Carroll, might have been older. DeMarre Carroll might have been 26 that year. But like the other two guys, Al Horford, perennial All Star, Paul Millsap, perennial All Star, right? Al made it his second year. Paul made it, I want to say, as soon as he was traded, and he had to be like 24, so age 25 season. It's at a certain point, players are who they are, and especially if you're not going to trade them to a new situation where they're going to get like loads of minutes and opportunity and things like that. This is just who this player is, and like I think Big O is a good player for us, but like I'm not so beholden to him that we would not take the opportunity to get Giannis. But instead of speaking on theoretical trades, speaking on what we have done, this team can easily contend for a top five seed. I believe Orlando's going to be up there next year. Um, I do think Philly's going to be better. I don't know if they're going to be. I don't know if they're going to be top six, but I do think they'll be in the playoff picture. Um, Boston is still going to have a nice regular season. I think Indy is still going to have a decent regular season. Just like their offense, they're a real scrappy team. I think they're going to have a decent regular season. I don't think they'll be a top. I don't think they'll be a top five seed. I think they'll be six, seven, eight, or nine, but they'll be in the row. Um, but yeah, Boston, New York's going to be up there. Philly's going to be up there. After those three, I really think Atlanta has Orlando's going to be up there. I really think Atlanta has a chance to be in that 4 or 5 slot, especially considering Miami hasn't made no big moves. Orlando might win the division, but like my Orlando, Washington, and Miami, or no, Miami, Washington, and Charlotte. All three of those teams are bottom tier right now. So like even if Orlando takes the division, you have you can cannibalize a lot of wins within the division. Um, the Bulls should still be pretty bad this year. So like of the of the three worst teams of the three like terrible teams in the division that aren't going to be in that 10 seed playoff division, like two of them are in your division, and the other one you play 4 times or 3 times. You got to make a stand. Cleveland's going to be up there. Cleveland's going to be a top 6 seed. Um, Detroit's going to be up there. Detroit's going to be a top 6. So I'm that Philly might be the one that drops out. To be honest with you, because Brooklyn's going to be. I think Brooklyn's going to be 9, 10. You know what I'm saying? Miami is Miami. Miami's going to be 9, 10. But like you can't let yourself get caught in 7, 8 after making these type of trades, right? Like you got to be squarely within the playoffs, preferably in the top 4 seeds, but at the very least the fifth. Um, I'm rambling. It's been good to be back, y'all. I'll cover some more overall basketball news as we finish up on free agency. Follow the TikTok Birds of a Feather. Make just like reactions of things going on there. Uh, BOAF Media on all platforms. Check us out. Taj will be back next week. We'll discuss some NFL news and get ready for the season. All right. So, do maybe some predictions, really talk about where we see the team going. Looking forward to training camp. Come on with us. Enjoy the ride. So, it's been your boy Q City. I'm out. Peace.